Hello everybody. Today I am going to be playing with some of my Pandahall products that I received, and I thought I would make some lace base items for journals and things like that. It's nice to have a range of tags and things that are already, the bases are already made for you, so you can just decorate them when the time comes. So what I've done is I've just got a roll of brown paper, found thrifting, just normal brown paper, and because it's quite lightweight, I've just doubled it over and made it, see there, you can see a little, you can see how it's two, just to give it a bit more substance, and glued it with a glue stick. I made myself just out of scrap paper, made myself a little template, and that was very easy to do, to make a template. Let me see if I've got a piece of paper and I'll show you roughly what I did to make the template. All I did was fold a piece of paper up like that, fold it again like that, maybe move it up a little bit more like that, and then depending on how big you want the flap, the front flap of your envelope, and how wide you might want your envelope. Like I've only made a small one here, but you might want to make a larger one like that. And so that's how I got the size of my envelope, and then I just folded it over. That's probably about just over a centimetre, maybe half an inch, doing approximately the same on the other side like that. Then I opened it up and I cut it out. And what you do is you cut that part like that, and then you go like that, like that. Of course, you can shape the front flap if you like. You don't have to. Depends how you're going to decorate it. Like that. The same here. And there we have a template for this style envelope, and I've done that like that. And what I'm doing, oh, you can't see it here. If I wanted this to be a bit lower here, I could make it a bit lower, but that's how I did it, and that's the envelope. And all I will do there is glue here and on the edge of that part there, like that. So that's how I made the template anyway. So I've got my template, and I've cut it out in the brown paper. And now I'm going to flip it over. Remember, this is the front of the envelope, the smaller edge there. And I've got a piece of the lovely lace that I got from Pandahall this month. And I'm going to sort of work out how I want it, which, you know, whether I want a small decoration on the front of the envelope, or I could flip the lace over and, you know, have that part there on the front of the envelope. I might do it this way, I think, like that. So I've got it face side up, so I know all I have to do is put it on there like that. So what I'm going to do is just fold those flaps under. I've got tacky glue here, and I'm just going to go around it with some tacky glue. should be plenty. But I'm not going to just leave it like that. I've got this little silicone brush here, and I'm just going to spread it all around evenly. And just let me get something. I'll get that to put under there. Spread it around nice and evenly, because the glue will show through. But if it's done evenly, you're not going to get streaks of glue. It's just going to look a little bit shiny in the background. Now, I'm not particularly fond of shiny things on paper and things like that, but in this case I thought to myself, you know, if I was using a glassine bag or something, it wouldn't worry me in the least, that little bit of shine. And as soon as I sort of thought about that, then I wasn't worried about having a little bit of shine on this. Now, I obviously have used way too much glue there. Way too much. So, what am I going to do with that? I think I'll just scrape it off. I think I'm not ready to do anything else with it. So I'm just going to take the excess off because I don't want that much. I do want it as close to the edge as I can get it. And do this before it dries too much, like that. Okay, like that. And then get my lace and position it over the top like that. That looks about right. And then this is just wax paper. I use it for all sorts. You can see it's been used for painting and goodness knows what. So I'm just going to put that over the top like that. And I have a roller here, just a roller. And I'm just going to do that over it to press it down properly. Take that off. Lift that up like that. And flip it over. And do it that way as well, just so it sticks nicely onto the lace. Okay, can move that now. I usually wait for it to dry, but what I'm going to do is just show you how I do things. So then I get some scissors. I'll get my good ones, they're easier to cut with. And I'm just going to flip the paper over like that and cut all the excess lace off. Being careful not to cut the edge of those folds there. And because that's my front flap, I might leave a little bit of lace over the edge. There we go, all done. Get rid of those. Put my good scissors away. And there we have that. And that shine, it won't be quite as shiny as that once it dries. And that will go up like that, and that will come down like that. And this is still wet, as you can see. But what I do is, once it's dried, I put it under my sewing machine. I start there and I stitch all the way around the lace, making sure the flaps are out like that. And once I've done that, then I, as I said before, I fold the flaps in. I put a little bit of glue here and a little glue right on the edge of that flap, and the same on this side, and fold that up like that. And what you end up with is a nice little envelope like this, and this is what they look like when they're finished. You can see how I've done a stitching line. I started it over here, went around, all the way around and back again, and then I glued my flaps in. You can see the little triangles here, but because they're not covered with lace, then you can't really notice them at all. So they're the little lace envelopes that I've made, and I'm quite happy. That looks like it continues on there. But this will more than likely be, you know, decorated in some way. I've made a few of them, so I've got a little stash of those. I also went ahead and made some tag shapes, doing the same sort of thing. Now these will all need backing. See how they're just not sturdy enough for a tag, whereas for an envelope they're fine. But I will put a backing, either some thick paper or you know, recipe card. What are they called? Oh my goodness, it's lost. I'm lost. That was the scrap, so I just made another tag shape. These can be used for other things. Just little offcuts can make that. I've got another one here. That's just a long rectangle. I thought I could, you know, you can get like shapes. You can cut shapes out of it and have nice little lacy shapes to put in your work. I've also made some smaller ones like this, just the offcuts of the paper. Cut them out. They'll make nice little, you know, tags, or you could put words on them or anything like that and use them in some way. Once again, I would probably, unless they were going straight on a page like that, if they were to be made for like a dangle or something, I would definitely strengthen those a little bit. So that's just a few ideas on what to do with that. And, oh, and I also wanted to, I've got another piece here. See, there's the double paper. It's already glued and dried. And I've got this little scrap from the piece I cut off here. And I thought, you know, that might just make a nice little booklet or something. So let me just have a little look here about sizing. Oh, dog's pinching my rubbish. Okay, so we could use that as a size guide, can't we? Not quite sure if that's straight. It looks fairly straight, so that. That there, perhaps. That. Nice little booklet size. For inside a journal. Like that. So this is the last little scrap. Making sure I've got it the right way round. Now, I might just lift it like that. I like to cut the lace a bit bigger than what I need. That way it's easier to position. So I'll just leave about 1 centimetre around the edge there. And the same at the top. That's the dog. I'm so sorry about that noise. And I can trim this if I want to once it's all dry. Okay, I'll put all my little scraps over there. You never know what I might need those for, as long as they're not too small. And then I'll just go ahead and glue this on like I did before, and that will make a lovely little cover. Now I think I wanted to have it higher like that. Yeah. So it's not dangling down too far here, and you get to see the lovely pattern. So if I just cut a bit more off there, oh no, not to put it too low. And that will make a lovely little notebook, and then I can fill it with pages, maybe put a little pocket on the inside as well. So I'll go ahead and do that. Then I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I've got some tea-stained paper here. It's a heavier weight paper than copy paper. It's what I like to use on the back of tags and things like that. And so all I'm going to do is grab my glue stick, put a bit of glue on the back. Now this measures, this is a 2.5-inch tag shape. Of course, you can make them any size you like. And I'll just get that in there. It just keeps it nicely pressed down. I also want to do this, I think, because that's still quite flimsy for a little booklet cover. I might like it. Do I want it? Probably doesn't have to be as heavy as this, so let's just cut this out. That gives a lot more sturdiness to the tag. Okay, so there's a nice tag shape made. On this one, see what scraps of paper I've got over here. It might work all right. I could almost do it like a collage effect, couldn't I, on that one, if I wanted to. These are just from past journals, scraps of things. That. And that. And do I have another piece a little bit different? Let me see. I usually have so many of these little things over there. Oh, here we go. What's that one? That one might work there. One at the back. Okay, and put that one at the back there, like that. That will be all right. Yep. So I do want to cover this fairly well because I won't be stitching all over the cover. Let's have a look. trying to get under the little lace edge because I don't want I like the effect of the lace being a little bit bigger than the cover. Okay, so that will be the inside cover for the notebook. I'll fold that once that dries properly. Let me just pop these over here. And we've got that, and we've got that, and we've got that. So let's see how we can just do a little bit of quick decorating to just give you an idea. Of course, you can do whatever you like. I'm not going to do them all because I basically just want to have a little stash of the bases made. That's the whole idea. Just a little bit of base fabric. Now you can cover these in anything, and because it's such a fine lace on the paper, you can bring in heavier laces and things to decorate with. Just it adds more, you know, dimension to it and things like that. So I need to go and have a little look around for something a little bit heavier for these. Okay, so I grabbed a handful of scraps out, and this was the edge of a doily that I've used the centre out at some stage. So I've just cut a bit off there. That can go on the envelope. Then there's this lovely piece here. It's just like, it's a scrap. There's another bit of it there. And I thought that might work nicely for one of these little things. And I'll just cut a piece off to go on there. Like that. It just makes a nice contrast to the fine lace on there. Another piece of a doily here. I think it may have come off that one there. I can use that and just put it on like that. So just a matter of cutting it like that and a bit like that. And that, and just the heaviness of that against this is quite nice. So just make sure I've got that the right way around. I think that's the wrong side, so we'll have it. I don't know how I had it now. Maybe we'll do it that way. It can go on like that. Okay. There we go. In here, what can I put there? That's not big enough, that one, for a pocket. They're not strong enough for a pocket. Doesn't have to be old lace. It can be something else. Let's see what I've got here. That might work. It's a nice like embroidery anglaise eyelet type of lace. I could use that, and that could make a nice pocket. So let's just go like that. And like that. I think that's the right size now. Okay, that can go on there. I think I need to back that little one there with a bit of this because it's not quite strong enough. Okay, that fits perfectly on there, so I will do that. Just like that. Alright, let's make sure it's make it a little bit more sturdy. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch those on, and then I'll be back. Alright, so I have done that. I've stitched that on. I've used a zigzag stitch at the top of that, and I also stitched around the other 3 edges. I stitched that on just with a straight stitch, like that, on an angle. And I did do a little stitch around this tiny one, and I put an eyelet in there as well. Got myself a bulb pin out to put that on, and I stitched this piece of eyelet trim in there to make a pocket. Let's just put the lid on our glue there. Now I could, what can I do? I have these lovely flowers from Pandahall. They're so pretty. They're fabric, but they're on plastic, so I remove all the plastic from them, and then you end up with this lovely fabric flower that you could add to these. I mean, I'm not going to do them all like this, but this is just an example of what you could do. Just to pretty things up a bit, like that. That could go on there quite nicely. That one there, like that. This one could have some as well. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3 is always a good number, isn't it? They're a really pretty colour. Very vintage looking. And you could even tea stain them as well if you wanted to. Just get rid of those bits there. Okay, so get some glue. I'm just, no, we don't want tacky glue. For that, I am going to use the Rapid Dry Craft glue that I'm trying out. So I might just put a little bit of glue behind here. Okay, wherever it falls, there we go. Number 1. Number 2. Kind of scrunch them up together a bit, like that. Can I do that? No, I'll do that like that. Okay, that's fine. And then number 3 on there. Hot weather, the glue doesn't stop coming out, and cool weather, you can never get it out. Oh, we had an earthquake here the other day. I forgot to tell you. On, what was it? I think it was Saturday. Yes. It wasn't very big. It didn't feel very well. It was weird. I was talking to my husband, and it was more noise. Like, I didn't feel the ground move, but there was a vibration in the house. It felt like, you know, when a helicopter or something gets too close to your house and everything starts moving. That's what it reminded me of. Or when the washing machine has a moment and it starts jumping all around, and when it's off balance, but majorly so. It was a lot bigger, but it had that same sort of noise and feeling to it. So, a little bit of excitement for the day. No damage, of course. Something for everyone to talk about when they go to the meet-up or to the shops or anything like that. Not much happens around where I live, so... what am I doing here? Okay. side are we putting this on? We'll put it there, like that. I like that. One down there perhaps. Might just put a bit of glue under there. So that lays down a bit better, like that. That, perhaps. Yeah. Now what? Let's put this on. Oh, we can add, where are they? I've got these lovely charms and things from Pandahall. What have we got here? We've got our pearls. We have our silver and our gold and our beautiful bows as well. Because I'm using dark colour there, I think we're going to have to go with the silver here. They're all beautiful. So let's just put one of those on. That will go nicely. Now, it's whether I get this the right way. There. Decided to put this in like that. I think that should work. Like that. So a nice little dangle charm. That will be nice. There. And these two, what shall we do? You need to sit down. Okay. Like that. That needs putting under a book or something to make it flatten nicely, I think. I don't know whether I'll do anything more to that at the moment because I can put a picture on that at a later date. I don't know what these will end up going in, but it's important to sort of, you know, they're basics. So leave a little bit of scope for something else in that one. So I need to do these ones. What am I going to do? What I could do is I have this lovely, where is it? Here, over here. I have this chiffon ribbon that I got from Pandahall as well. I could use some of this. Make a bow, perhaps. I don't know. Does that look any good? I'll put it there. That looks a bit strange there. Maybe it doesn't. No. I wonder if I could make a little bit of cording out of it. Let's cut a piece off and then cut that in half, I think. Wonky there, I think. These are not fabric scissors, these are my paper scissors. And then while those are drying, what I might do is fold that like that and put that under the machine and stitch it together, and then pull it through, and it would be nice and thin. I hope I've done those long enough. Let me go stitch that. Alright, so I did it. I stitched it down one edge like that. It's almost in half, and then I pulled it through and ended up with, you know, this nice little bit of ribbon cording, but it's still a bit too bulky for what I wanted. So what I did was cut a bit off and put it like that on this square tag here, and then I'm just going to put a flower over that one. Oh goodness, should have left it upside down. I hope you're all keeping well today. Very overcast here. There we go. And I'll put that over that like there. On that. And that will be able to fit in the pocket in there. I will, when it comes time to make a journal, stitch some offcuts of paper in here to make a nice little booklet. Might even put a nice picture or something on the front. Depends what the journal ends up being like. But I thought just to finish these off, I might just might see what we've got here. I have pewter. Oh, here we go. Pewter, I've got a silver. What's this silver? There's a piece of paper I can just. Put it here. Okay. I just want to see what this turns out. I don't use silver Kinderglitz very often. Oh, that's quite nice actually. Yes, I quite like that. It's got that darkness to it. So what I will do is, that one's still drying a little bit. I'll just go ahead and put some silver Kinderglitz in the centre of all these flowers. A nice generous amount because it's not a petite flower. And that will soften, you know, lay flat. I think that's quite nice. Once it's dry, do that. I feel like I could come back and add some like a grey thread or grey ribbons or something to it, but at the moment, do I want that like that? I might turn it around a bit before it dries. I'll put it that way. I'll put a blob there. There we go. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so that was a fun little project for today. I hope you've enjoyed that, making just the basics with our lace, and I can have those put aside, like the envelopes here, and decorate them as I want for the type of journal that I want to make. We've made some just samples of what can be done with them, and even those I can come in and add things underneath these flowers, and you know, I can add a bit more lace if I want, or some ribbon or whatever else I want to do. I can cut shapes out of the lace paper as well. So just a nice little idea for you to just, if you have some lace, to make the basics and put them aside. That way the base is done for you for whenever you're ready to make some more tags and things like that. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you to Pandahall for these lovely products that I've used. I've used the beautiful lace that they gave me, the flowers, the chiffon ribbon, the lovely rhinestone charms as well. And yes, that's what I've used today. So take care, everybody. Bye-bye.